In the company?
I'm managing director.
Managing director.
Yeah.
From Christie.
Christie & Co. Property Group.
All good? Okay. Hey there guys, we're back. I'm Alia. I'm from First Media Australia, and we're still live streaming in Sydney Property Expo. I know it's coming to an end, but if you are interested in the latest projects in the market, why not come and have a look at it? So now we're having a short interview with this handsome gentleman, Michael, the managing director from Christie & Co. Property Group.
That's correct.
Yeah, nice meeting you.
It was nice to meet you as well.
So let's get the interview started. First things first, can you tell us a little bit more about your business here?
So Christie & Co. Property Group, as you can see here on that sign above your head, is a Brisbane, Gold Coast and Sydney-based property company who represents a very fine selected group of developers. We are very smart about the way we choose our property all along the coastline. We're soon to be expanding into Melbourne, very soon, thanks to your expo actually. We've met some people here who hopefully help us out with our new branch down there. So that's about what we do. We represent a lot of developers selling different projects throughout the country.
I see. So aside from the cities that is mentioned above, do you have any other plans to march into other regions in Australia?
Melbourne. Melbourne is something that's been on the tip. You know, even for us, Gold Coast is still fairly new.
Yeah.
It was quiet for a while in Gold Coast, but there's been a huge spark of construction happening from Surfers Paradise all the way down to Palm Beach from a wide range of developers who we sell. So Melbourne and Gold Coast are definitely on our list. Even Sydney, this is our Sydney for a while. Our team only sold in Sydney. We only sold Brisbane product to Sydney buyers, and we would send them up on the weekends to actually, purchase property in Brisbane. But this is the first time we've actually started. The team in Sydney has now said, "Hey, we want to sell projects in Sydney." We're getting a lot of questions and we're getting a lot of demand. So coming here today, especially, it's helped us to get new developers on our books. So I have product for our team to sell. But again, the difference with us is we do very good due diligence in terms of what we present to our buyers. I might work for developers, but at the same time, I also work for my buyer. So I got to make sure that the product's good and it's going to make them money. And then if those two things add up, then we've got a good product on our hands. So for all outside of Brisbane, where we've been always, Gold Coast, Sydney, and Melbourne seem to be where we're really starting to gain momentum now, outside of, in our new areas, new regions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know that. So let's get into some details.
Yeah.
When it comes to differences, or I'd like to say some advantages, comparing with the other counterparts in the market, what's yours?
You mean in terms of our product or our company?
Like your projects or the business model?
So, as I said before with our business model, the difference between Christie Co. and any other agency probably here, not to say, that's probably a little bit too far to say, but the due diligence that we do, I think is far beyond what you see in most companies. Especially, I can say with confidence that since our company's been open, you've seen here in our two booths this weekend the same staff that have been here since the beginning of our company. That means these guys have been training since they've been here for almost 4 years now in the Brisbane Gold Coast market. So our expertise in not only just a specific project, which you see with a lot of other companies, is that they're very project selective. They pick one project and then they sell that based on the fact that they're hired by a developer to go out and sell. Now, when you come to us, we're a non-biased company. I do my due diligence very strictly into what products I introduce to my clients, because we don't lose anybody money, and we haven't lost anybody money. And if that case is to come, we will sort out the solution. We will fight to the end to make sure that you get a good valuation, a good settlement, and you can be assured that the agent who you bought from is going to be there tomorrow. You see a lot of employment hopping with a lot of other agencies, but our staff are very well taken care of, very well educated, so you know that when you buy from us, that same agent is going to be there to assist you through your property journey. He's not going to just duck off the next week after the sale has been completed.
Yeah.
So that, I'd say, is one of the big points of difference that we have in our company, is the ability to facilitate a good deal, as well as the knowledge that if you come to me and you say, I want to see this product, we sell with everybody. We work with all the developers that we handpick who we're going to work with, which is great for other buyers. You know, if you come here to see one project, if your agent doesn't take you around to see 4 or 5 other similar projects, that agent doesn't have your best interest in sight. If he has your best interest in sight, he should be taking you to see other things on the market in similar prices, so that you know what you're buying is the right choice, and the construction, the quality, the product that you're getting is of good nature. Now, I can tell you on the other side of our booth with Sunland Group, the product that we sell, they've never had a product that after construction didn't meet contract price. They've always been above contract price on completion. Now, if I took you and showed you a rendering of something that they build, and I took you to see it when it's complete, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference, because it's exactly what they say they're going to build is what you get.
Okay.
And that is something that I take very seriously, is that I need to know, my clients need to know that when they're going to buy something, they're getting exactly what it is, if they're buying off the plan. If they're buying completed, of course, we'll take them there. But I want to make sure that my clients are getting good products. So I think the point of difference with us is that, and the reason somebody as big as Arden Group, and especially Sunland Group, you know, developer of Q1, Palazzo, Versace, would choose to work with someone like us, is because the buyers that we bring, a lot of them are owner-occupied. In high quality projects like that, you don't always necessarily want a large pool of investors in a small townhouse community of luxury townhouses. It would be great if that community was filled with owner-occupied. So the ability to be able to bring a select group of buyers, also strong buyers, who can settle and there won't be any contract issues, it's for both of us, it's advantageous, because they're getting a great seller and the buyer's getting a great deal, because we're going to, obviously when we go and we sell 10 townhouses, our negotiation and pull power to say, hey, to the developer, give my client more money. I have the ability to say that, and they have to say, and I'll say, hey, do you want me to keep selling here? I need more money. And that's where we're different, because we work for both of you, and we're really serious about that. And we want to make sure that we can make a deal for them, get their product sold, but I also make sure that my client gets the best deal possible for the best product possible in whatever price point he's looking at, or in the location as well. It's not only just Brisbane, Gold Coast, Sydney, and I want to make sure that as we expand the company, that everyone across the East Coast has the ability to have our service. That's really our end goal. Maybe Perth in the future, but it's really far. So
we all know that.
It would take a while for us to maybe get out there.
So we are actually talking about something with regard to conscientious. You know what I mean? So
to what, sorry?
Conscientious.
Consciousness.
Yeah.
Or
conscientious. You mean like the goodwill?
Yeah.
The goodwill to the clients.
Well, yeah. I mean, if
as
you're
well
selling
as the developers.
Yeah, if you're selling a project, I should be able to go to sleep at night with no worries.
Yeah.
And the moment I go to bed and I go home and I have to think back about something that I did today is the minute that I'm going against our statement of what we're here to do.
Yeah.
I'm not here to be just a salesman.
Yeah.
I'm here to facilitate and help and make a good deal happen. And if I introduce a bad product to someone and they lose money on valuation, I can't sleep good at night. I have a guilty conscience, so I need to make sure I do a good job. And
no tricks, no ruses.
Well, I never want anybody to have anything bad to say about me. You check our reviews online, there's nothing bad about my company. If you go and you ask, there's plenty of people in here who do business with us. I don't think anybody has a bad thing to say, and because that's the way that we created our business. I want to make sure that when our name comes up, it is associated with goodwill and good service, really.
Some serious sincereness.
If you want a really good story, I don't know if I'm taking too long. I've got a really quick story for you that can tell you.
Just bring it along.
All right. So I'll give you one example. In Brisbane, we had a buyer who we actually sold a $550,000 apartment to. We've sold a lot of apartments in this building before, and the contract, you have to put down a 10% deposit.
Yeah.
The buyer lost their work visa. Now, if you could imagine being here as a work visa with your wife, $50,000 or $55,000, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
That's a family's maybe life savings. You don't know how badly it could affect them to lose that. Now, normally in a situation when a buyer loses his visa and has to back out of a contract, we will find a replacement buyer for the developer to facilitate them to make sure that they don't lose any sales. And of course, we'll get the deposit back for the buyer. But in this case, the developer, even though we had sold numerous product for him, was not willing to give that deposit back.
Really?
So our agents fought for 6 months with that developer, still couldn't get it back. So you know what we did? We gave them the money back from our pocket.
Oh.
We did.
Really?
Well, how would you feel if you went to a company tomorrow and they took $55,000 out of your pocket and they wouldn't give it back?
Must be painful.
Well, it'd be horrible.
Yeah,
Your whole life could be destroyed, and that's something that we can't do to people. So that's the goodwill statement that we stand by with our product and everything that we do. That's the length that I'm willing to go to ensure that nobody ever has anything bad to say about my company.
Yeah, this is actually a very good story to tell.
It's true too. You can fact check it.
Yeah.
Maybe not on Google, but you know.
But it's always good to tell.
Yeah, it's a good story.
Yeah. So as to the advices, you have any tips for the new investors in the property market?
Due diligence.
Yeah.
Do your homework. Do your homework. Don't walk into and sign a contract the first time you look at something. Take your time. One thing is also be careful when listening to your friends, because not everybody knows what they're talking about. Make sure you got a real agent who knows what they're doing with experience. It's sometimes hard to find. You got to be careful. It's hard to tell the difference between a good salesman and a good consultant. So you just have to do your homework. I would highly recommend doing your homework, and don't overextend yourself. You see this a lot in places like some suburbs in Sydney, or things you see on the news where young couples are buying $1 million homes that are 40 years old.
Yeah.
Unless you're sure about your future and your job, don't do this to yourself. Invest. If you have to pack up things and move to a cheaper place like Brisbane, you need to weigh your options smart. Because you see what happened in America a long time ago. A lot of people overextended themselves, and it caused the global financial crisis.
Yeah.
So not that would ever happen here, but I just would say that if you're going to invest, do your homework, do your due diligence, and make sure not to overextend. Live within your limitations, and always buy for equity. Equity and good rental yield. Rental yield's not always that important. If a little bit of negative gearing, if you own 10 properties, is not a bad thing. Being able to claim a bit of money back on tax, and also want to set yourself up with some good equity to continue growing your portfolio. If you want to make some equity on that first purchase is your most important purchase. Because that's going to determine the course of your property purchasing experience for the next 10 years or so. So that's general advice that I would say.
And I do love when you said live with limitations. That's really practical.
You'd be surprised the things that we see sometimes. So you see it quite often that people overextend themselves, and you find that your whole life can flip upside down very quickly. I mean, it's easy to get out of, but I've seen situations where people have overextended themselves into bad projects, and they can't sell. I have an investor who bought a project in Brisbane. He's not my investor. He's an investor from another company who engaged me to sell his unit 2 years after. It's just 2 years now since completion. There are still new units available in that building.
What?
And he wants to sell at a price above. And I said, man, I'm sorry, either you take a loss or you're not, because that's the rare scenario. But you overextend yourself, you could wind up getting stuck. I mean, even though you might get rent, you never know what's going to happen. So you need to prepare. My advice is always prepare for the worst case scenario.
That's good.
In doing your due diligence. Make sure that if worst case happens, that you can actually handle it. So not that you'd hope that would never happen, but at least you're prepared for it, and that you can handle it and service it if possible. That's what I would say. Anyways, it's been amazing. Thank you for the interview.
It's really happy talking with you. No, I've got no questions. You have talked a lot, and it's always fantastic. No, we have heard some stories that's pretty amazing.
Honestly, it paid off too. When we paid those people back, they actually introduced new clients to us. So we actually wound up benefiting from it. If you do people right, they'll always bring more people. And that spreads.
That's we call a healthy cycle.
Healthy cycle. Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, thanks.
Thank you
so much
much.
for
Yeah,
your
thank you guys.
fantastic
I had a
speech.
wonderful weekend here
Yeah,
at the
you
Expo.
too. You too. Yeah.
Awesome.
Hope you guys good luck.